Today we will learn the properties that we discussed. Okay, let me just give you a prelude of what we are going to study today. I must have told you that each and every element we are going to study some of its property. We have seen the elements. You saw the elements, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Very good. We'll study their effective nuclear charge, effective nuclear charge. Then we will study their atomic radius, and some similar kind of trend is an ionic radius, that is its radius, ionic radius of elements. Then we will study the ionic radius of elements, atomic radius of elements. Then we will study ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. Then we will study the electron gain enthalpy. What? We'll study the electron gain enthalpy. Electron gain enthalpy. At last, we will study electronegativity. Electronegativity. These are the 5 properties which we will study in detail. Waiting for Abhi. Let's wait for one more minute, then we can start. But before that, I haven't discussed really anything regarding the F block. We will discuss a few points of F block. Yes, we'll study a few points regarding F block elements that you just have to know, and then we will move forward. You don't have to write this slide. You can write from here the F block elements. We haven't studied anything, so hence the F block elements. The F block elements. What are the F block elements? First of all, the general outer electronic configuration. The general electronic configuration, which we have been writing like this, GC. And when I say general electronic configuration, it means about the outer electronic configuration, correct? So this will be how much? NS2. First of all, what? NS2. Then we will have N minus 2 F. It will vary from 1 to 14. It will vary from 1 to 14. 1 to 14. And in N minus 1D, you will have either 1 electron or 2 electron. Either 1 electron or 2 electron. You can also have 0 to 2 would be a better word. Wait a second. 0 to 2 would be a better word. 0 to 1. Only the case for 2 electrons in d orbital is for, that is thorium 90. So we are not taking that case. We can write 0 to 1, 0 to 2 as you like it. Okay, so this is the general electronic configuration. The next thing is their names. They are called as inner transition elements. Next thing is all are metals. And you must have been knowing this number. Okay. This number, if I am writing CE53, you must be knowing this from last class. CE53, no, not 53, it is 58. I remember the shape, I forget the number. Remember the shape. There are 2 full circles in CE. There are 2 full circles till 71, that is lutetium. Lu71. These are called actinoids. And next starts from thorium 90. This is thorium 90, and up till what? Lr, lawrencium, that is 103. Lr 103. These are called. I did a mistake. What mistake did I do? I wrote this. Sorry. This should be here. Actinoids. I hope you have not written. These are lanthanoids. Lanthanoids. The last thing that you have to know. Elements after uranium are called transuranium element. Transuranium elements. Now we will have the Z effective. Most important point, Z effective. Effective one just irks me. Nuclear charge. Effective nuclear charge. What is effective nuclear charge? First we will see what does that mean. It means that the reduced nuclear charge experienced by the outermost electron, the reduced nuclear charge experienced by the outermost electron due to shielding by inner electrons. Now what does this mean? There are a few terms. Nuclear charge, shielding, and the other terms, you know that. The meaning of other terms, you know very well. The reduced, what is nuclear charge, we will explain. So what is shielding, that also we will explain. We will take the example of sodium. Sodium has, what is the atomic number of sodium? Abir, tell me, Abir. 11.
Yes.
Those who are saying 11, that is correct. So it will have how many protons?
11 protons.
Very good. Yes, correct, Mariam. 11 protons. And this will have the electronic configuration will be what? Ne 3s1, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So it will have one first shell, second shell, and third shell. Okay. Now the electron which is in the third shell, there is only one electron. There are 2 electrons in the first shell, and there will be how many? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 electrons in the second shell. Now you will tell me, and this is 1 electron in the last, that is the third shell. These are 1, these are 2, these are 3. If I say you have to write down order of attraction of nucleus for different shells. So you will say that the electrons that are in the first orbital, they will be experiencing the most amount of attraction, then the second shell one, then the third shell one. Any doubts till here?
No, sir.
Sir.
Correct? Reasonable. Okay, fine. That means, and what if I say that there are no electrons in the first and second shell? Then what will happen then? This electron will be experiencing all the plus 11 charge without any reduction, correct?
Yes, sir.
Suppose, yes, correct. Suppose there are no electrons, then the last electron will be experiencing no reduced charge. It will be experiencing the whole 11 charge. But as soon as we put electrons in the inner shells, what happens? The outermost electron, it starts getting reduced nuclear charge. Fine. So this reduced nuclear charge, now you understand this term, reduced nuclear charge is experienced by the outermost electron. And why it is experienced by the outermost electron? Due to shielding. That is, these inner electrons, they are screening, or they are acting as a barrier for the outermost electron, correct? Who are acting as a shield? The inner electrons. Now you understand this statement, the reduced nuclear charge experienced by the outermost electron due to shielding by inner electron.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, great. Now we just have to see this attraction thing. We just have to see attraction. You will see. Now let's you will tell me where the attraction increases, where the attraction decreases. I'm writing a statement along a period. The atomic number increases, hence proton number is, I think that is not correct statement. I should write it like this. I'm just writing the main point. Okay, don't write this. It will be too much. We don't have too much time, right? Z effector increases along the periods. Why does it increases? Due to increase in proton number. In bracket you can write atomic number. Z effective decreases down the group due to increase in
Shells.
yes, N bracket PQN, that is shells. This is class 10th, correct?
Yes.
Sir.
Okay, fine.
Sir, does that mean if 1 and 2 are empty, then 3 is like the electron in the third shell is getting attracted towards the nucleus?
Yes, if there are no electrons in the first and second shell, then the outermost electron will experience the complete nuclear charge.
So it will get on the first shell.
It will not get into the first shell. Even if you put in the third shell, then also it will experience the whole plus 11 because there are no other electrons to experience this charge, correct?
Yes, sir.
That is why. But I mean, this is just it won't happen. It is just for your concept building that this particular shielding is due to the inner electrons. It is just there. The statement that I gave was to prove this point, that the shielding is due to inner electrons. The shielding is due to inner electrons.
So the electron is not actually getting closer to the nucleus even after receiving this attraction from 11 protons.
What I am saying is, obviously, see, what I said is that this electron will get the whole plus 11 charge, correct?
Yes.
Now what will happen first? Will it be attracted first or will it get closer first?
Attracted.
Yes, that is what I was saying. What will happen later is due to attraction. So I'm telling you about the main reason why it is getting closer. If it gets closer, that is not for us to mention here or to know here. What we want to know, the sole purpose. What is happening? What is the change that takes place? The change that takes place if you remove the inner electrons is that the outermost electron gets the whole and experience the whole plus 11 charge. And due to this attraction, it gets closer. and due to this attraction it gets closer. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so the sole reason is what? The increase in attraction, correct? Now here only, wait a second, I will not move to the next slide. Here only you will tell me. If I ask you, order of shielding for shells. For shells, it will be what? See, the innermost shell will shield the most. Correct? The
Yes,
first. Correct. Okay, fine. No doubts here. 1, 2, 3, and so on. Other thing, we don't only have shells. We also have what? We have subshells. We have subshells. I guess I have discussed with you the idea of diffusion. Correct? The idea of diffusion. Order of shielding for subshells. S will shield the most, then P, then D, then F. Any doubt in this statement, in this order?
no, sir.
No. Yes, you have. You know that we increase the lobe, and as we increase the lobe, the diffusion increases, and as the diffusion increases, it gets bigger and bigger. Hence, it cannot experience the whole charge. Write these 2 points also: order of shielding for shells and order of shielding for subshells. We are done with Z effective also. The second property that we want to know is the, first of all, we will look at atomic radius. Atomic radius. Let me just start this with a disclaimer that it is impossible to measure the radius of an atom. It is impossible to measure the radius of an atom. It is impossible to measure the radius of an atom.
So we will be just guessing it
No, we will not be guessing it.
then.
We will not be guessing it. But see,
So we are
what I have written, it is impossible to measure the radius of an atom. However, we can determine it. However, we can determine it. How will we determine? Why it is impossible to measure the radius of an atom? The reason is that it is very difficult to find an isolated atom. Okay, you will not get in a room and you will get, okay, fine, I have a big ball of hydrogen. I will now measure it with inchy tape. No, we cannot do that. Correct? So what do we have? We have different kind of schemes that we apply and get the atomic radius. First of all, we have bonds. Okay, we have bonds. You can say that you have covalent bonds, ionic bonds, also covalent bonds, covalent, ionic, and metallic. Correct? Covalent bonds, ionic bond, and metallic bond. Ionic bonds. For ionic radius, we will study this separately. But atomic radius generally are for covalent and metallic bonds. Why? For example, we have a covalent compound Cl2. Correct? Cl2 we can get because Cl2 is a gas, H2 is a gas. H2 can be easily isolated, but hydrogen, only one single hydrogen cannot be isolated. A Cl2 will be something like this. Two of these chlorine atoms somewhat into each other. Now what we will do? We will take their midpoints. And then we will half it. If this is A, then R is equal to A by 2. Correct? We measure it like this. Similarly, for metallic, what happens in metallic is that we have nucleuses and different type of nucleuses, and then we have sea of electrons floating over. Similarly, we will take these two. Okay, if this is A, then R will be equal to A by This is the scheme that the chemists have applied to determine the, and not measure, to determine the atomic radiuses of covalent and metallic elements. Okay. Now, what is the trend for us? What is the scheme? That is not very much of importance. The important thing is what is the trend along the period and trend along the group. So what happens is atomic size. Now I'm writing a statement. If you differ, then you can ask me to explain it. The atomic size decreases along period due to increase in
Proton.
Z effective. Okay, now atomic size, it will increase along
Subgroup, I guess.
yes, sorry for that, down the group due to
Due to increase in N.
increase in N, that is PQN I dot E dot shell. Now just write this, and then we will move further on to the ionic radius.
So what about the previous slide?
Want to write the previous slide also? Okay, right. This beautiful statement. It is impossible to measure the radius of an atom. However, we can determine it.
So what does determine mean?
Determine, it means
We
that
call it over here.
it means determining means that if somebody asks you to prove it, now show me how chlorine has this much radius. Measure, I mean, take something that is that we can measure and measure it. Then it is not possible. Determining means that we are measuring something else, and then what we are assuming here is, the assumption is that the radius will be half of the distance between two midpoints of chlorine atoms. This is an assumption, right?
Yes, sir.
That is why we are saying it is determined and not measured. Now we will go to ionic radius. Ionic radius. So first of all, there are two types of ion. Cation. This has smaller size than parent atom. Smaller size than parent atom. The next is anion. This will have larger size than parent atom. And what is the trend? The trend is generally ionic radius follows the trend of atomic radius. Now what is the next thing? The next thing is size of cation. Size of cation decreases with increase in charge. Similarly, for size of anion, increases with increase in charge. Now, if I say cation with increase in charge, I am talking about positive charge, and increase size of an ion increase with increase in negative charge. Now write a question. The question is, compare the What do you have to compare? The ionic radius. The ionic radius of the following. Of the following. It does have O2 negative. It does have F negative. It does have Na positive. Mg2 positive. Not tell me the answer. I'm naming this. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to give me the order, and which order? You have to give me it's like increasing order. The first important thing to note down here is all of them has 10 electrons. Am I correct? O2 negative will have oxygen has 8 electron. If we have added 2 electrons, hence 2 negative, that is 10 electron. Fluorine has 9. We have added 1 electron, hence 10 electron. Sodium has 11. We have added 1 electron. We have removed 1 electron, hence 10 electrons. Magnesium has 12. We have removed 2 electrons, hence 2 positive charge and 10 electrons. Am I right? Everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now the only thing that they differ in is their nuclear charges. Correct?
Yes.
Now you will tell me oxygen has +8, fluorine has 9 protons, hence +9. Sodium has how many? 10 electrons, 10 protons, hence +10 in the nucleus.
11, sir. Sodium has 11 protons.
Yes.
This is
Wait a
Na
second.
plus.
Wait a second. Yes. I missed. We have in between the noble gas also. Yes, 11, and this will be 12. Okay. Thank you for correcting me. 8, 9, 11, and 12. Now you will tell me from 8, 9, and 11, 12, which is the highest positive charge?
Mg.
Mg. 12. Hence, this will be able to hold and tightly attract the 10 electrons. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Hence, its size will be the smallest. So what we can write here is Mg2 plus has the smallest size. Then we will move further on, which is the next highest positively proton number. It is 11. So we will have Na positive. Then moving further on, here we have 9 as well as only 1 electron, that is F minus. Then we will go to O2 minus. It has only 8 protons and it has 10 electrons. Much tougher to hold those and attract those 10 electrons. Moving on to the next that we have at hand is the third one, correct? We dealt with atomic radius, ionic radius, atomic radius and ionic radius in the same compartment. Then we will move on to, what did I write? Ionization enthalpy. Yes, ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. Now, first of all, what is ionization enthalpy? Ionization enthalpy is the amount of energy which is given to an electron, in an atom to remove the electron from the outermost shell. Remove the electron from where? Shell. So NCERT has defined this as a quantitative. Quantitative means it will have what? Quantitative. It will have some kind of value. It will have some kind of value. A quantitative measure of the tendency of an electron, of the tendency of an element to lose electron, element to lose electron is given by ionization enthalpy, which we write as delta and the ionization enthalpy, the quantitative measure. So a quantitative measure of tendency of an element to lose electron is given by ionization enthalpy. So what do we mean here is, for example, let us take our good old sodium 11. This will have a nucleus 1, 2, 3 and an electron in the outermost shell. So if we give it some kind of energy, I'm taking at heat energy. It does not really happen with heat. It takes a lot of energy. What we do, we remove the outermost electron. We will remove the outermost electron. And it is worthy to note here is that this particular electron is being attracted towards the nucleus. And what we are doing, we are breaking an attraction. So if we are decreasing the attraction, then we have to give energy, because the next thing that is going to come, a cation, an electron decreasing. So what we will have, and no electrons here, so this will be Na positive, correct? Na positive. So we have to give energy to get an electron from the outermost shell, This is ionization enthalpy, and we have to look what? We have to look at the trend of ionization enthalpy. So the first thing that I would say is, don't worry, I will go to the previous slide when you have to write. Now, Ahmed, you will tell me.
Yes, sir.
Ahmed, you will tell me, as the attraction will increase, I mean, if the attraction increases, then we have to give more and more energy to remove the electron.
Yes, sir.
That means the trend will be very similar to that of Z effective, because Z effective is solely responsible for the attraction, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So generally, this is the trend, and we will look at some detailed exception, and we will also look at the reasons of that exceptions. So first, I can write the trend of ionization enthalpy is similar to Z effective. Now, what was the trend of Z effective? We will write the same. Ionization enthalpy increases where? Along the period. Very good. And ionization enthalpy will decrease
down the group.
Now this will be due to what? Due to increase in N, that is PQN. Yes, shells. Now this will be due to what? Due to increase in Z effective. Now, what are some of the exceptional case? The exceptional case is beryllium and boron. First, you have to learn about beryllium. Beryllium is 899. This is as kilojoule per mole. Okay. Now, boron comes after beryllium in the same period, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, but it should be having higher ionization enthalpy, but it has slightly lower. It has around 800. I guess it is 801 kilojoule per mole. Now, why is that the case? For that, our good old electronic configuration. Electronic configuration is the answer for each and everything. Beryllium is what? Beryllium is 4. So we'll write 1s2, 2s2. Boron is 5. 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now you will tell me, we have the shell number is same. The shell number is same for both of them. Beryllium, if we want to remove an electron from the beryllium element atom, then we have to remove it from the second shell. For boron also, we have to remove it from its shell, second shell. from which subshell is it easier to remove an electron, from S subshell or P subshell? Which is more diffused, S or P?
P.
P is more diffused. So P will be getting more attraction or S will be getting more attraction?
S.
S will be getting more attraction. So where will it be difficult to
It will
get the
go
electron
from
out? S,
P.
correct? And hence it
It
is,
will go from P.
it will go easily from P
P.
and with difficulty from S,
Yes, sir.
correct? Hence beryllium has what? Beryllium has higher ionization enthalpy than what? Than the boron atom, because the shell numbers are same. But what will happen? P will be easily removed. Now the another reason is that this P electron, correct? This is the P electron. It is further shielded by this S electrons, these two S electrons, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this shielding of S is much high, and this shielding of S is much high. Now this S electron was only shielded by this, so this is very common to both of them. But from the same shell, if we look from the same shell, that is second shell, the S electron will shield the P electrons too much, and it will be easier to remove electron from the P subshell. It is easier to remove electron from 2p as it is experiencing lower Z effector due to shielding by two S electrons. Now there is a question. I like this question in NCERT very much, and the reason is that they have asked something, but the real question is something else. They have asked something, and the real question is something else. The question is, they have given us delta H, that is ionization enthalpy of a few elements. Now the elements are sodium, magnesium, and silicon. For sodium, the delta IH is 496 kilojoule per mole. Next is for 736 mg, and the next is 786. Now don't start loving silicon. Okay, now moving on, they have asked you to predict the delta IH of aluminium. The delta IH of aluminium, that is Al, will it be closer to 575 kilojoule per mole or 760 kilojoule per mole? But the real question, you know what was the real question? Now just leave your pen and listen to the real question. I mean, I love the way they have designed this question. They have just exhausted you with these all numbers, and people get confused. I mean, even when I was in 11th standard, it was a confusing question. The question is, now you will tell me, among these elements, or among these ionization enthalpies, tell me, among these ionization enthalpy, which is between 575 and 760?
736.
736. Now you will just focus on this. Okay, the real question was, is the delta IH of aluminium greater than mg or lesser than mg? Why? If the ionization enthalpy of aluminium was greater than mg, then we can say, okay, fine, 760. If it is lower than mg, then we will say 575 mg. What is the ionization enthalpy for Mg? That is 736. Now, if case A, if Al greater than Mg, then delta IH of Al is equal to how much? Mariam, you will tell me.
Oh, okay. Then 760.
Easy. Now, second case would be if Al, I mean delta IH of Al is less than delta IH of Mg, then delta IH of Al will be equal to what? 575. Correct? According to the question.
Yes.
Correct? So we did not need the ionization enthalpy of for sodium and also for silicon. Now we will compare between, we had compared between beryllium and boron. Now we will compare between what? We will compare between aluminium, magnesium and aluminium. So you tell me Mg, what is the atomic number? That is 12. Atomic number is 12. We will write this as neon
Maybe
3s2.
that's two.
Correct. Now we will have aluminium. This will be 13.
3s2, 2p, 3p,
3p1.
1.
Correct. Now
Yes,
you will
sir.
tell me. The shell numbers are same. I mean, for magnesium, if you have to remove an electron, we have to remove it from the third shell. For aluminium, if you want to remove an electron, we have to remove it from the which shell?
Third shell.
Third shell. So we cannot compare between shells and come to a conclusive answer. So we have to look at the subshell. For magnesium, which is the subshell?
S.
And for aluminium?
P.
E.
So which subshell will be easier to remove electron from?
P.
P.
P. Okay, fine. Easy to remove. Hence, ionization enthalpy will be lower or higher?
Lower.
Lower.
Lower. So we can say that delta IH of aluminium is lower than delta IH of Mg. Therefore, delta IH of Al will be
575.
closer to 575, I guess, right?
Yes, sir.
Kilojoule per mole. Okay. Now we have another anomaly. But I will not come to the anomaly and state the statement. You all will discuss it. We all will discuss it. Oxygen is 8. And what is the atomic number for nitrogen?
7.
Very good, 7. Now what will be the electronic configuration? 1s2, 2s2,
2 PC. 4.
2p,
4.
Now I can write, I mean, we have to remove an electron from where? The 2p,
4.
correct?
Oh, yes, sir.
I mean the 2p subshell, correct? The 2p
Yeah.
subshell. One of the 4 electrons from the 2p subshell. I can write it like this. Correct. Now for nitrogen, this will be 1s2,
2s2,
2s2,
3p.
2p,
2. 3.
3.
3.
Now, if we compare between oxygen and nitrogen, we have a difficulty. What is the difficulty? The shell number is same.
Nitrogen.
The shell number
Yeah.
is same.
Yes,
We
sir.
have to remove from which shell? Second shell.
2p.
The subshell is same. We have to remove from where? The p subshell.
2p.
Okay.
Yes.
So the only thing that differ is the configuration of this p subshell. What I can say here is that for nitrogen, I can say easily it is half filled. If it is half filled, then it is extra stable, symmetry and exchange energy and other things. Extra stable. For oxygen, what I can say is that this particular pair, two people in a room, they will have what? They will feel electronic repulsion. Two electrons in a single orbital, electronic repulsion. Okay. Hence, we can say that it is easy to remove electron from oxygen
Oxygen,
than from
nitrogen.
nitrogen. Okay, fine. What is the next property that we are going to study? It is the fourth property, that is electron gain enthalpy. What is the name? Electron gain enthalpy, Eg delta Eg H. Electron gain enthalpy. Now, how to define this? This is the energy required or released. The energy required or released on addition of an electron, where to an atom to form an ion. Now, what does this mean? Required or released? It means that delta EGH can be endothermic as well as exothermic, depending on the element. Depends on the element. Now, delta EGH, electron gain enthalpy of noble gases are endothermic or exothermic? What do you say?
Endo.
Yes, endothermic. And the reason is that endothermic because the electron is added to a new shell. Okay, fine. Now tell me your favorite noble gas.
Argon,
Okay, argon. What is the atomic number?
18.
18.
18. Now tell me the electronic configuration. Don't tell me argon.
1.
Argon. What it will be? You will use the long
1s2.
1s2,
1s2,
2s2.
2s2. Okay.
2p6,
2p6.
2p6. Okay.
3s2,
3s2.
Okay.
3p6,
3p. Not 6.
and
Oh,
3.
6.
No, sir.
6.
Yes,
Yes.
it is 6.
10.
Yeah. Okay.
8.
Yes. Finish.
Finished. Okay. Now what we have to do? We have to add one electron. Okay. Now the atomic number will be 18 only, but the number of electrons it will start to. Now this will be Ar negative. So it will have how many electrons? Electrons is equal to 19. Correct.
19. Yes.
So now tell me. Start 1s2, 2s2,
2s2.
2p6,
2p.
3s2,
3s2. 3p6.
Now
4s1.
so now see. As soon as you added an electron, the electron has to go into the new shell. Okay. That is why, see, for the remaining others, what happened? If you are adding, for example, before argon, what do we have? Before argon, we have chlorine, correct?
Yes.
Before argon, we have chlorine. If we added an electron in chlorine, it would have been in what? In the third shell only, because 3p would be 5. Now it is 3p6. So the attraction would be, it will be facing an attraction. But if you want to create a new shell, the argon does not even have a fourth shell until here. The only reason to create a new shell will be for this particular, this tiny electron, that too far away in the fourth shell. That is why we have to give so much of energy to create the new shell, where the new electron can be accommodated. Hence, the delta Hg of noble gases are endothermic because the electron is added to a new shell. But generally, what I can say is that for noble gases, it is what? For noble gases, it is positive. But generally,
It is negative.
yes, generally, delta EgH is negative. Now I'm writing a statement. I will write that delta EgH increases with atomic number. Delta EgH gets more negative okay, wait a second. Do you have any confusion in this statement? Do you have to explain generally Eg is negative, how it is negative? And if I say negative, it is exothermic. I guess we have EgH will be more negative with Ahmed, you will tell me, okay? Increase in atomic number. In delta EgH. Okay, fine. Delta EgH gets more negative
No, sir.
No, sir.
this and this statements are related, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now next I will write delta EgH, I hope you get this, gets less negative now tell me. First of all, you will tell me if anybody can explain. We have proven that for noble gases, the electron gain enthalpy is endothermic. No doubt in that. Correct?
Yes.
Now, any one of you will
Yes,
tell
sir.
me why for other element for
Because noble gases will change their subshell, but other element does not change their subshell.
I mean, that is not an answer, I must see. If your parent asks you, why didn't you top 11th standard, you cannot say Mariam topped, that is why I couldn't top. Correct?
Yes.
So if I'm asking about for other elements, you have to tell me reason from the other elements. You cannot say, sir, noble gas. In noble gas, that happened. No. If I'm asking for other elements, the delta EgH is exothermic. Is what?
Exothermic.
Why? What would be the answer? Any idea or no idea?
Because the energy required is not that great.
No.
Like,
No. If energy is required, please see, if energy is required, it is endothermic. If 1 kilojoule of energy is also required, it is endothermic. Exothermic, exothermic, that means that we are adding an electron and the system is releasing energy. Am I correct?
okay.
Yes,
Yes.
right? Exothermic
Yes.
means releasing energy. So how it
Yes.
is releasing energy when we are making an anion? So let us take our good old sodium. Na positive, 11 protons. Similarly, 11 electron. This is our 3, and we have 3s1. We added an electron. We added an electron. What did we get? Plus 11, 3s2. By moving from here to here, what we did was the number of attraction that was here was between 11 and 11. This was the number of attractions. 11 protons had attraction with 11 electrons. Now we have 11 protons attracted to attracting
Electron
12 electrons, correct?
Yes.
So attraction,
reduces, decreases.
no, total
Increases.
increases, total
Yes.
attraction increases,
It
Yes.
decreases.
total attraction, not the attraction to this last electron, total attraction. There were 11 entities attracting. Now we have 11 attracting 12 entities. There is a difference. There is a difference.
So
Just,
total for which one? First case or second case?
I mean, we are going from first to second. We are going from
Yes.
here to here. The
Yes.
total attraction is increasing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, if attraction increases, remember the first principles, system gets stable or unstable.
Stable.
Unstable.
Okay, but also, I mean, if you will go to a bit further, then you will see and you will realize that we are also increasing the repulsion. How we are increasing the repulsion? See, we had one electron. If I make a box here, this one electron was completely free in his or her room. Now it has to share their room with another. So there will be repulsion.
Yes, sir.
Yes, there is repulsion. Repulsion is due to how many electrons?
1 electron.
1 electron. Attraction is due to how many protons?
11.
Even if we consider the shielding and take it as minimum as you can, you say that okay, fine, the outermost is not getting 11 protons, it is getting just the 5 protons. Still, which will win? 1 electron will win or 5 protons will win?
5
5
protons.
protons. So the net attraction, because we are increasing the net attraction, we can say that the net attraction has increased, even though repulsion increased some bit, but as a whole attraction increased. Now let us go to this one. Now we are very much clear about exothermic. Now you read this: delta EGH, electron gain enthalpy, gets more negative with increase in atomic number. That means if we go along a period, we are increasing what? We are increasing this number, correct?
Yes, sir.
This number we are increasing as we will increase the time. We are increasing the proton number. We are increasing the proton number. If the proton number is increasing, then the attraction will be also increasing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then it will be getting more and more exothermic.
Yes.
Then it will be releasing. Then it will be releasing more and more energy.
Yes, sir.
Then
Yes, sir.
if it is releasing more and more energy, that means the energy's value will be more and more negative.
Yes.
Sir.
See, energy released. Energy is energy in terms of only the digits, the values. If it is released, it is negative. More released, more negative. Less released, less negative. If it is released, then it is negative. Okay, understand this. released, that means negative. If more released, more negative. Less released, less negative. So we are done with this one. Gets more negative with increase in atomic number, and we also know atomic number increases in a period. So we are done with this statement. Let us go to this statement. Electron gain enthalpy gets less negative with increase in shell number. Let me explain this. We have sodium, we will have potassium. Now, what is the atomic number for K?
19.
This has 19. But now what has happened? That the electron is in 4s1, and we will put where 19 in 4s2. This will be 4s2. So even though from 11 to 19, the proton numbers have increased, but the shell number will defeat the proton number. The shell number will defeat the proton number because the distance matters, right? Distance matters. I mean, you must have seen. If not now, then later. You know how many relations are broken due to distance. Hence, distance matters. It doesn't matter how much attraction was there before. It doesn't matter that. What matters is the distance. If distance increase, the attraction will be lower than before. Correct? The attraction will be between these positive and negative charges will be lower than before. So if we go down, what we are doing? We are increasing the distance. Because here, then the distance increased. Then the distance increased. Then again the distance increased. And this increase in distance was due to what? Was due to shell number. Was due to shell number. So we can say that, okay, fine. Okay, fine. The attraction, I mean, energy will be released. Obviously, energy will be released, but it will be less released. But it will be less released. And if the energy is released less in lesser amount, what we will say? Delta Eg gets less negative. Energy is released in lesser amount, delta Eg will be less negative. Delta, if exothermic, more negative. Less exothermic, less negative. See, you are learning so much in this chemistry class. Distance matters. Then lithium, sodium, rubidium, cesium, francium. Okay, this is what this one is 3. Then the next is 11. Next is 19, 37, 55, 87. Correct? Now this is in period number 2. So it will have positive 1, 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I'm correct, this will be having 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, correct. All this will have protons and different. Who had a doubt? Ahmed had a doubt, I guess.
No, sir.
Abir.
Yes, sir.
Abir. Okay, fine. You will tell me. We added an electron here. This was what? How much? This would be. Wait a second. This will be 1s2 and 2s1. Correct?
Yes.
And we added an electron here. Where will we be having more exothermic? Where will the attraction increase in much amount? So the attraction will be maximum where? Above. If we want to write like this, we can say attraction decreases in this way. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So what you can write? Less attraction. Then we can write less exothermic. Then we can write less negative delta EGH. Correct?